that guy's gonna kill you if you go over to him. So it's a weird thing.
Logic.
Yeah. It's a weird justification in his head, I think, from what he's done. Unfortunately, though, someone did approach him, and that was 45-year-old choreographer Peter Walker, who is this guy right here. Yeah, looks like a really sweet guy.
Yeah.
Again, guys, if you want to go and see any of these images that we're talking about, Facebook, Adventures in MRDR Land, put all the pictures that we're going to be talking about in this podcast, and you can see the pictures of these guys, including Peter Walker. He looks like a lovely gentleman. So the two of them got talking and eventually left together in a taxi to go to Peter's apartment. Peter obviously thought the two were just going to have a bit of fun, so he had two little dogs that he just obviously locked in the spare room to keep them out of the way. And then he willingly agreed to being gagged and tied to the bed. It all seemed quite playful while they were sort of doing the tying up and things, until once he was completely restrained, Colin just sort of switched, which would be a terrifying...
It's the fact that you're going to be, like, stuck there. You can't do anything at all.
It's a serious...
horrible...
It's a proper oh fuck moment, isn't it? It's like, you think you know someone at this point, and you're sort of in the mood, you're doing your thing, and then within 0.1 of a second, like that entire atmosphere
goes from fun just to
fuck.
Yeah.
That's not a nice thing. But yeah, Colin literally switched in an instant and then repeatedly started to violently punch him over and over. He moved on to beating him with Peter's dog's leash, and then he used a belt as well. Colin says that when he looked into Peter's eyes, that he actually looked like he wanted to die, like he was actually wanting Colin to kill him.
Oh, fuck.
So Colin took out a plastic bag, put it over Peter's head, and suffocated him to death. Again, the weird thing about the interviews with Colin, when he says those things about looking into his eyes and he wanted to die, he says it in the tone like he was doing him a favour. Like, oh no, he wanted to. Like, no, it looked like he wanted to die, to be honest with you. No, it's not a problem. It's like, fuck you. Like, how can you tell that from someone? And even so, it's not your position to do that. So again, Colin knew a lot about forensics and shit. And people who actually study forensics out there are going, probably don't call it forensics and shit. Probably take a lot of time and effort to study that. But he knew a lot about forensics, and he'd read about how other serial killers had been caught by like fingerprints and clothing strands. So we spent a good few hours cleaning the apartment and removing any items that may have connected him to the crime. While he was looking through Peter's personal effects, he did actually find some evidence, I think it was medicine, that Peter was actually HIV positive. So Colin was super pissed about this. Like, he was totally enraged that Peter hadn't actually disclosed it to him beforehand. Which, fair play, I would say if you are HIV positive, let someone know. Yeah. But still, that is never a reason to kill someone, or they just don't fucking deserve that. And especially this way. I mean, Peter was so pissed that he went over to Colin was so pissed, sorry. He went over to Peter's body, pushed a condom into his mouth and another one into his nostril. He also left 2 teddy bears in a 69 position on the bed next to his body. So
he's foul.
He's a gross guy. He's obviously just gone over, and I think to kill someone is one level of monster, and then to start desecrating someone's body like that and treating it's just another level. I just can't even imagine. Colin was kind of weary that if Peter's neighbours saw him leaving in the middle of the night, that they'd probably grow suspicious, and they might sort of identify him. So he actually stayed in the apartment until the next morning. So he just sort of hung out and watched TV.
As if.
While his poor body was just lying there. I don't also get the logic on that, because if you wait till the morning, isn't it sort of brighter outside?
Well, people will be going to work and things like that more.
That is true. That is true. And it'd be a lot more noisy and shit, yeah. So when he left the apartment, he travelled back home to Southend on the train. His idea was that he could blend in with the early morning rush hour on the train. He disposed of his clothes, gloves and shoes from the crime scene by throwing them out of the train window, but still within the boundaries of the London transport system. So he's quite conniving, crafty, the way he's doing this. He would continue to sort of do this little ritual, this after-murder ritual, by the way, for every one of his murders. Colin actually couldn't wait for the body to be found.
Shut up.
Yeah, he was really looking forward to hearing about it on the news and seeing the police try to piece it together. Because remember, it was his New Year's resolution to become a serial killer, and serial killers, the police find them. That's how you get the branding of a serial killer.
It's kind of like the equivalent of like when a kid comes home from school and they go, "Look, Mum, look at my painting I've done today."
Yeah,
sort of thing. It's
really
kind of like
excited.
that.
They're so excited to see what happens. So later, the same day, Colin actually called the Samaritans to tell them about Peter's dogs that had been locked up in the room. So essentially, he was sort of saying, I've got reason to believe that there's 2 dogs actually trapped in the room. Oh, so
he's pushed it on a little bit faster.
Yeah. So he's not necessarily called up and gone, there's a body in there. But he's sort of going, nudge, nudge, little elbow to the side. Maybe you want to go in that apartment. Yeah. Could imagine him sort of giggling like a little schoolgirl like that. Colin's plan worked completely perfectly. The police discovered Peter's body, and due to the sort of meticulous cleanup that he'd done, they had little to no evidence to go off. And just as
sucks,
really does. The police, by the way, in this story, their involvement does get even more annoying. I'll say that.
I can imagine with that sort of like time period as well. With like gay people are just second thought to them.
Well, there's a little bit of that, but to me it reads more like just sheer incompetence. Like it just reads out. You'll get it.
Okay.
But yeah, essentially the idea of going for a victim who was gay as well also worked out for him, because when the police turned to the gay community for help, they stayed silent, as Colin had imagined they would be. I put down here a quick note. Yeah, firstly, obviously, like we mentioned before, the police didn't have a good reputation with the gay community at the time, because they sort of often ignored a lot of gay-related abuse and crime. But more importantly, secondly, and a real sort of strange coincidence, is the day before Peter's body was found, the government actually put a new ruling that made S&M activities between consenting adults completely illegal. So literally no gay man wanted to come forward with any information, obviously, because they would be prosecuted. They'd be prosecuted themselves. It wouldn't be until 2 months later, on the 28th of May of that year, so still in 1993, where Colin would return once again to the Colhern pub to search for his second victim. This time the man was 37-year-old librarian Christopher Dunn, which again I think I'm going to show you a picture here. I think this is the right one, which is him, Christopher Dunn. He looks like a cute guy. He looks like he'd be like, not my type like that, but looks like a cute guy. Yeah, like he'd be fun.
He seems sweet.
Fun. Yeah, like a sweet, fun guy. He's got like big eyes like me. So, yeah, he found 37-year-old librarian Christopher Dunn. And just sort of like the first time, the two went back to Chris's own apartment, where again, Chris agreed to a little bit of S&M and a little bit of bondage. And once he was fully restrained, Colin, he just proceeded.
So exactly the same.
Essentially exactly the same. He beat him and tortured him to the point of near death. The only difference on this one is that Colin sort of goes, I'm going to be going through an awful lot of shoes and clothes.
He didn't take his shoes.
Throwing them outside the window. No. He didn't take his shoes because obviously, also train tickets are going to be expensive. So Colin was unemployed as well. By the way, he doesn't have a job. So he threatened Chris by holding a lighter to his testicles until he told him the whereabouts of any money in the apartment, along with his PIN number to his bank card as well. And that was all before, again, suffocating him to death. Which it just sounds like one of the most horrific experiences you could possibly ever go through.
It's really weird, though, because it's like he knows exactly what he's doing. I know that most people do, but it doesn't seem like he's like snapped like some people do.
You just get a bit close to the microphone, let's see.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's snapped. I mean, it seems like he knows exactly what he's doing from the get-go.
Yeah, like I say, it was a conscious decision to actually become a killer. Like, it's who says I'm going to become a killer? Like, even with I know we reference this guy a lot, but even with Dharma, like his first kill was complete accident. Like he didn't mean to kill him, but it was a misunderstanding. He thought his life was in danger, and then he did it, and that happened. This is like someone who's never killed before just goes, I'm going to start to be a killer.
It's weird.
It's one of the strangest sort of origins, I guess, of a serial killer. I'd probably think of. Colin again does his usual ritual, cleans all the evidence, disposed of his gear on the train, and then took £200 from Chrissy's bank account. Chrissy's body was found 2 days later by a concerned friend, and I didn't mention that on the first one. The police, when the police actually did find the body, they just assumed it was just like an S&M game that had gone wrong. So with the police just thinking that, they essentially just didn't bother doing any more investigation. They were like, couple puffs, do it puff things, went wrong, case closed, boys. No fucking further thought into it. So obviously because of that, they just didn't link the two deaths at this point. Colin was, however, on a roll, and he was growing a bit impatient with sort of the lack of media coverage and, the police concern for his crimes. Because, like I say, they didn't link them. They weren't thinking there was a serial killer. They didn't seem to be overly concerned about them. So he wasn't getting that satisfaction that he really wanted. So just 6 days after the murder of Christopher Dunn, he returned to the Coleherne for his third victim. So
it's gone from 2 months to 6 days.
Yeah, he really starts to snowball, and the time in between them goes shorter and shorter in each one.
So I take it he's wanting the cops to link it up to like, this is a serial killer.
Yeah, he really wants them to do that, and he sort of, you see that later on down the line, he does sort of push even more for it. The third guy who Colin sort of came in contact with was a 35-year-old man named Perry Bradley. Perry Bradley the Third, who, if I can get another picture of him somewhere, which is this guy.
Okay.
Perry Bradley III. He was the son of a serving US congressman, and he himself, as you can see from that picture, is a very dapper chap.
Yeah.
He's a well-known businessman from Texas. So,
Okay.
Yeah, so he was obviously a very wealthy chap. Colin and Perry went back to Perry's Kensington apartment, and Colin was the one this time to suggest tying him up. But Perry, unlike the other ones, he wasn't really into the S&M thing.